Imagine standing at the edge of everything you have ever known. The galaxies behind you, the stars glowing like scattered embers across the dark sky, and in front of you silence, nothingness, a question so vast it feels impossible to grasp. What lies beyond the edge of the universe is a question that has haunted philosophers, scientists, and dreamers alike. Every time we think we've reached the limits of knowledge, the universe stretches further, laughing quietly at our arrogance. Our calendars, our history books, our monuments, these things feel ancient to us. The pyramids, the Roman Empire, the great cities of Mesopotamia, yet, in cosmic time, they are less than a heartbeat. Humanity itself, in its current form, is just a blink. And if we are such a young species, can we really expect to know the true limits of everything? But still, we try, we imagine, we debate, 'cause that's what humans do. We chase horizons. Sailors once stood at the edge of the known ocean, terrified they might fall off the world. Early astronomers peered at the stars through primitive lenses, daring to believe Earth was not the center of creation. And today, we stand on the cosmic shoreline, staring into an ocean of galaxies, asking, does this ocean ever end? The phrase, edge of the universe itself, is slippery. What do we mean by edge? A wall? A boundary? A border where space simply stops? Or is it something more elusive, like a limit to what we can see, not what actually exists? If the universe is truly infinite, then searching for an edge might be like walking across a flat desert forever, never finding an ending. But if the universe is finite, then what comes after it? A void, another dimension, a neighboring bubble in a grand multiverse. And so we begin our journey, not with final answers, because the truth is, no one has them with stories, theories, and visions that stretch our minds. Science can measure, calculate, and predict, but imagination gives meaning to those numbers. In this video, we won't just ask what lies beyond the universe. We'll explore how different cultures, scientists, and dreamers across time have dared to frame this mystery. We'll look at what our telescopes can see and where even light itself fails to reach. We'll step into theories of multiverses, parallel realities, cosmic horizons that act like unbreakable walls of nature. And, along the way, we'll face a deeper truth. Maybe this question isn't just about space. Maybe it's about us. Because when we ask what lies beyond the edge of the universe, we're also asking what lies beyond the edge of human understanding. So, take a breath. Set aside what you think you know. We're going to travel to the edges of reality itself, not just in science, but in imagination, philosophy, and wonder. You may not leave with a final answer, but you will leave with something more important, a bigger question. And that question is where discovery begins. From the moment we first looked up at the night sky, we've asked, where does it end? The human story has always been a story of chasing edges, testing limits, and confronting the unknown. What we now call science began as myths whispered around firelight tales of gods holding up the heavens, serpents swallowing the sun, and cosmic domes separating Earth from the stars. These stories weren't foolish. They were our earliest attempts to map the edges of reality. For ancient civilizations, the Earth itself was the first frontier. In Mesopotamia, clay tablets described the world as a flat disk floating in an endless sea. The Babylonians believed a great dome arched above them, studded with stars like jewels hammered into bronze. The Egyptians, too, imagined the sky as a goddess stretched overhead, her body curving protectively above the earth. To them, the edge wasn't far away in some unreachable void, was right there, above their heads, a limit defined by the gods. But human beings are restless. We don't accept walls for long. As trade and exploration expanded, so did our horizons. The Greeks were among the first to suggest Earth was not flat, but a sphere. Around 240 BCE, Eratosthenes used shadows cast in different cities to measure Earth's circumference with astonishing accuracy. Imagine the courage it must have taken to argue that the world wasn't a flat plane, but a boundless globe. For the first time, the edge shifted from a rim you might fall off to a surface you could circle forever. Centuries later, in the age of exploration, sailors faced the ocean with the same terror we now feel toward the universe. To step beyond the horizon was to risk falling into the unknown. Maps showed monsters at the margins, giant serpents, dragons, warning scrawled in Latin, hic sunt, dracones, here be dragons. And yet, humans went anyway. Columbus, Magellan, Zhang, He, they sailed off the map and returned with proof. The world was larger, stranger, and richer than anyone imagined. The edge had moved again. But what about the heavens? For thousands of years, people believed Earth sat at the center of a finite universe. The stars and planets circled us in perfect crystal spheres. Beyond those spheres, pure heaven, a spiritual edge. But then came Copernicus, who dared to place the sun at the center. Then Galileo, who lifted his telescope to the sky and saw craters on the moon, moons around Jupiter, and imperfections in what was once thought divine. The heavens, it turned out, were not a flawless dome. There were landscapes, worlds, places that could be studied. The cosmos cracked open. Newton's laws revealed that planets were not held in place by angelic hands, but by the invisible force of gravity. Suddenly, the universe was no longer a tiny stage built for humanity. It was an arena of vast motion, governed by universal rules. The edge stretched outward again, past Saturn, past the comets, past even the imagination of poets. Then came the 20th century, and with it, a revolution. Astronomers like Edwin Hubble peered through giant telescopes and discovered something shocking. The Milky Way was not the universe, was just one galaxy among billions. Galaxies were racing away from each other, space itself expanding. The universe was not static, not eternal. It had a beginning, and if it had a beginning, could it have an end? Think about how radical this was. For most of human history, we pictured the cosmos as a contained structure, an egg, a sphere, a dome, a clockwork machine. But Hubble's discovery shattered that. The universe didn't have a visible wall, a crystal shell, or a ceiling of gods. It was vast, expanding, and possibly infinite. In that moment, the question of the edge became deeper, more unsettling. If the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? Einstein, too, reshaped our understanding of boundaries. His theory of relativity showed that space and time were not separate, but woven together into a fabric that could bend, stretch, and ripple. Boundaries were no longer just physical lines you could cross. They were built into the structure of reality itself. Black holes, for example, are edges in a terrifyingly literal sense. Cross their event horizon, and you cannot return. Time itself is dragged into darkness. It is an edge not of geography, but of physics. And so, the history of humanity's quest for boundaries mirrors our own growth. At first, we feared falling off the Earth's rim. Then, we feared the dragons at sea. Then, we feared the wrath of the heavens. Now, we wrestle with infinities, with event horizons, with the idea that our universe might be just one bubble in a frothing, cosmic sea of universes. But one thing has never changed. Our obsession with the edge is never just about the edge itself. It is about us. Every time we expand our boundaries, we expand our understanding of what it means to be human. Crossing the ocean didn't just reveal new continents, it revealed courage, curiosity, and imagination. Pointing telescopes to the stars didn't just show new worlds, it showed that we are not the center, but part of something much larger. And asking about the edge of the universe does more than challenge science, it challenges our humility. So where does that leave us today? We live in an age where satellites orbit Earth, rovers crawl across Mars, and telescopes like James Webb peer into the dawn of time itself. We have mapped the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow of the Big Bang like cartographers of the very first light. And yet, for all our progress, we are still like those ancient sailors staring at the horizon, wondering what lies beyond. The dragons may be gone, but the mystery remains. The edge has moved countless times in our history. Every time we find it, we realize it was never an edge, at all only a doorway to a larger universe. Perhaps the same is true now. Perhaps what we call the edge of the universe is not an ending, but another threshold, waiting for us to cross. And here lies the paradox. The closer we get to understanding the universe, the more we realize how small we are within it. But maybe that's not a defeat. Maybe that is the point, because only by chasing edges, whether they are oceans, planets, or galaxies, do we discover what it truly means to wonder. When you step outside on a clear night and look up at the stars, you are not just seeing the sky, you are looking into time. Every point of light is not where it is now, but where it once was. The moon is 1.3 seconds in the past. The sun, 8 minutes. It's the closest star more than 4 years ago. To look outward is always to look backward. And this simple fact creates one of the most profound limits in all of science, the observable universe. The universe itself may be infinite, stretching without end in every direction. But what we can see, what we can know, is finite. The reason is light, and the stubborn speed limit it imposes. Nothing moves faster than light, and light takes time to travel. Our universe began about 13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang. That means the farthest light we could possibly receive today is 13.8 billion years old. At first glance, that would suggest the observable universe has a radius of 13.8 billion light years. But reality is far stranger, because the universe is expanding. The space between us and that ancient light has stretched. Galaxies that emitted their glow billions of years ago have been carried away on the expanding fabric of space. Today, those galaxies are not 13.8 billion light years away. They are more than 46 billion light years distant. Multiply that by 2, you get a cosmic sphere about 93 billion light years across that defines the limit of our vision. That is the observable universe. Picture it like this. We are standing in the center of a vast bubble. Not because we are special, but because light reaches us from every direction, forming a sphere around us. If you were on a planet orbiting another star, your bubble would be different. The center moves with the observer. Every conscious being in the cosmos, if they looked out, would see their own personal horizon. But all of us, no matter where we stand, are trapped within that bubble of visibility. Beyond its edge, there may be galaxies, stars, and wonders, but their light has not yet reached us, and may never reach us. This is the cosmic horizon, the ultimate limit of observation. Not because space ends there, but because information ends there. It is the line beyond which light has not had time to arrive. For now, that line sits about 46 billion light years away in every direction. Beyond it, the universe may continue forever, or it may fold into shapes we cannot yet imagine. To us, though, it is invisible, unreachable, shadow realm. Think of the observable universe as a stage with curtains drawn. The actors beyond are real, but their voices are muffled, their faces unseen. The stage we see is vast hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars, but it may still be only a fraction of the full play. We live in a cosmic theater, aware there is more, yet unable to glimpse it. The horizon is not just a physical fact, it is a philosophical wound. Humanity has always believed that if we pushed far enough, climbed high enough, built instruments sharp enough, we could see it all. But the horizon tells us no. It whispers that there are truths forever locked away from us, not because of our weakness, but because of the nature of time and space themselves. And yet, even within this bubble, what we see is astonishing. The cosmic microwave background, or CMB, is the faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself, stretched into microwaves by billions of years of expansion. When our telescopes detect it, we are looking at the universe when it was only 380,000 years old, a fog of light that marks the oldest picture we can take. Before that moment, the universe was opaque, filled with hot plasma that no light could cross. The CMB is a wall of fire turned ghostly by team of boundary, both physical and visual. Beyond it, the universe existed, but its light is forever hidden. And so, the observable universe is not just a bubble of space, it's a bubble of time. Every layer outward is a layer backward. When you look at Andromeda, you see it as it was 2.5 million years ago, before humans even walked the earth. When you look at galaxies at the edge of visibility, you see them as they were when stars were just beginning to form. The farther we gaze, the younger the cosmos becomes. At the edge, we meet its infancy. To stare into the night sky is to leaf through a cosmic diary written in light, page by page, until the first chapter blurs into silence. But the horizon is not fixed. As time moves forward, light from more distant galaxies will arrive. Our bubble expands 1 light year for every year that passes. In billions of years, observers in the far future will see farther than we can today. Yet, paradoxically, they may see less. Because the expansion of the universe is accelerating, many galaxies are being carried away faster than light can bridge the gap. Their light, emitted now, will never reach us. In time, the observable universe will shrink, not in size, but in content. Distant galaxies will fade beyond the horizon, leaving future astronomers stranded in an increasingly empty cosmos. Imagine that, a night sky where only the closest galaxies remained, where the universe seems small and static because the grand evidence of its true size has vanished beyond reach. We are living in a privileged moment when the cosmos still reveals its immensity. We are witnesses to a sky fuller than any that will exist in the deep future. The observable universe teaches us humility in 2 ways. First, by its scale, billions of galaxies, unthinkable numbers of stars and planets, all within our bubble. Second, by its boundaries, reminding us that no matter how far we look, there are truths we will never see. It is a mirror, reflecting not just the cosmos, but our own condition. We are creatures who yearn for infinity, yet live inside limits. So, when we ask, what lies beyond the edge of the universe, we must understand what kind of edge we mean. The observable edge is not the end of space. It is the end of sight. Beyond it, the universe may continue endlessly. It may curl into itself, form new dimensions, or dissolve into other realities. Cannot know, at least, not yet. And yet, that not yet is the fuel of science. Every telescope we build, every probe we launch, every equation we test is an attempt to stretch our horizon just a little farther. Even if the edge is forever out of reach, the chase itself defines us. To be human is to look at boundaries and imagine what lies beyond. So tonight, when you see the stars, remember, you are not looking at pinpricks of light on a dome. You are looking through a window into time, into a cosmic bubble 93 billion light years wide. You are standing at the shore of the observable, staring at a horizon that is both breathtaking and absolute. And like the sailors who once gazed at the ocean's edge, you are left with the same haunting question: what worlds wait beyond? We often speak of the edge of the universe as though it were a wall, a sharp cliff where existence suddenly stops. But space is not like land or sea. There is no cliff, no border fence, no painted line where something becomes nothing. Instead, what lies beyond the observable universe is one of the deepest mysteries of modern science. To answer whether the universe has an edge, we must look to theory, our mathematical lenses that peer where telescopes cannot dot to understand edges. We must first understand expansion. The universe is not expanding into something, okay? It is expansion itself. Imagine dots on the surface of a balloon. As the balloon inflates, each dot drifts away from every other dot. From the perspective of any one dot, it appears as if everything else is racing outward, okay? But the balloon's surface has no center and no edge. You can travel endlessly in any direction without ever falling off. Many cosmologists believe our universe is like that balloon, except the surface is not two-dimensional, expanding in all directions. If this picture is correct, the universe has no edge. It is finite in age, but potentially infinite in extent. You cannot step outside it. Just as you cannot step outside the surface of a balloon without leaving the balloon entirely, Albert Einstein once described, the cosmos is finite but unbounded. It sounds paradoxical at first, but think of Earth. The planet is finite in size. You can measure its circumference, yet it has no edge, okay? Walk in a straight line and you never fall off if you simply circle around. Similarly, space itself could curve back on itself. In such a universe, if you could travel unimaginably far in one direction, you might eventually return to your starting point. Not because you looped around an edge, but because space itself is curved. This idea, rooted in general relativity, suggests that the universe could be both limited and limitless, limited in size, yet without borders. Another possibility is that the universe is infinite, not just very large, not just bigger than we can see, but truly without end. If this is the case, then what we call the observable universe is just a small patch of an infinite cosmic quilt. Imagine standing in the middle of a desert that stretches forever in all directions. No matter how far you walk, the horizon always moves with you. That horizon is your observable universe. The desert is reality. In an infinite cosmos, every arrangement of matter you can imagine not only exists, but exists countless times. There are infinite galaxies, infinite stars, infinite worlds, perhaps even infinite versions of you, scattered across space-time, each living slightly different lives. And then there are ideas more radical still. Some physicists suggest that our universe may be just one bubble in a vast cosmic foam. Each bubble contains its own space, its own time, maybe even its own laws of physics. Some bubbles expand forever, others collapse quickly. Ours is one bubble among countless others. In this picture, the edge of the universe is simply where our bubble ends. Beyond it lies not empty space, but other universes. You cannot reach the Mars bubbles. Space is sealed, but in theory, they could collide. Some scientists believe such collisions may have already left faint scars in the background radiation of our sky, like fingerprints of other universes brushing against ours. There are multiple flavors of the multiverse idea. Inflationary multiverse, where inflation, the rapid expansion after the Big Bang, spawns countless universes. Quantum multiverse, where every possible quantum outcome becomes a new universe. Mathematical multiverse, where every possible set of mathematical laws corresponds to a real universe somewhere. Each of these pushes the idea of an edge farther away till the question itself almost dissolves. What we perceive as an edge, the cosmic horizon, is not a physical end. It is a limit imposed by time and light. Just as a sailor sees the horizon at sea, curved and unreachable. We see the cosmic horizon. Beyond it, the ocean of space continues. But some theorists suggest that even this metaphor is too simple. Perhaps space-time itself is emergent, like a hologram. In this view, what we call the universe is a projection, a kind of shadow cast by deeper laws we cannot yet grasp. If so, then the question of edges may be like asking where the edge of a rainbow lies. The rainbow is real, but its boundary is an illusion. What unites all these theories is uncertainty. We cannot see beyond the observable universe. We cannot touch its boundaries. We can only build models and test them indirectly. In some ways, the edge of the universe is less about physics and more about epistemology, the study of knowledge itself. It forces us to confront what we can know, what we cannot, and how to live with mystery. There is beauty in this humility. For thousands of years, humans thought the earth was the center of creation. Then we learned it was a planet among many. Then a star among billions. Then a galaxy among billions more. Each step displaced us, yet each step expanded our vision. The edge of the universe may be the next great displacement, teaching us that even our visible cosmos is just a fragment of something larger, stranger, and unknowable. Perhaps the most haunting thought is this: edges may say more about us than about the universe. The horizon exists because we are bound to time, to light, to mortality. To ask about the edge of the universe is to ask about the edge of human perception. Just as life ends at death, sight ends at the horizon. In a way, the cosmos is holding up a mirror. Its vastness reflects our longing. Its limits reflect our own. So, does the universe have an edge? If it curves like a balloon, it is finite, but without borders. If it stretches like a desert, it is infinite and endless. If it exists as one bubble in a multiverse, then its edge is only the border of a greater reality. If space is emergent edges, may be illusions altogether. Each answer is provisional, a sketch in the dark. And yet, to ask the question is to take part in one of the greatest traditions of humanity, the refusal to accept boundaries, the desire to push beyond horizons, the hunger to know what lies further still. For now, the edge of the universe is a riddle without a solution. But it is a riddle that defines us. We are creatures of edges born in a finite body, living in finite time, yet staring into infinity and asking, what lies beyond? When we speak of the edge of the universe, we are not only asking a question about physics, we are asking a question about ourselves. Edges are symbols. They mark the boundary between the known and the unknown, the safe and the perilous, the familiar and the unimaginable. To wonder about the edge of the universe is to wonder about the limits of being human. From the beginning of civilization, humans have drawn lines on the map of existence. Ancient sailors feared the point where the sea met the sky, imagining monsters lurking at the horizon. Farmers built walls to mark the edge of their fields. Religions drew circles around the sacred and the profane. Edges comfort us. They give shape to chaos. To know where something begins and where it ends makes it manageable, containable, perhaps even controllable. Without boundaries, we feel lost. So when we ask, does the universe have an edge? Part of that question is a search for order. We want to know the shape of the cosmos so that we may know our own. But edges also tempt us. A child at the edge of the forest feels both fear and curiosity. A climber standing at the edge of a cliff feels the tug of the abyss. We are creatures who cannot resist horizons. We walk to the edge and then take another step. In this sense, the universe is edgereal, or imagined. This is the ultimate invitation. It calls us to expand beyond what we know. Just as explorers once sailed across oceans and astronomers once turned telescopes skyward, we now stretch our minds beyond galaxies. The edge of the universe may be unreachable, but it inspires us to move anyway. There is another reason the edge fascinates us. It mirrors our mortality. Each of us is bounded. Our bodies have edges. Our lifespans have edges. To imagine the end of the universe is to confront the end of ourselves. Philosophers from the Stoics to the existentialists have seen in the cosmos a reflection of human finitude. Marcus Aurelius wrote of being a little flesh, a little breath, and a little reason. Jean-Paul Sartre described existence as a brief flare of consciousness in a vast, different void. When we picture the edge of the universe, we are really picturing our own edge to the horizon we cannot cross, the silence that waits after the final heartbeat. The cosmos becomes a cosmic mirror of our impermanence, yet edges are rarely as final as they seem. The horizon is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of more world than we can see. The shore is not the end of land. 'Tis the border of the sea. Death, too, has been imagined, not as an end, but as a transformation. Perhaps the edge of the universe is like this. Perhaps it is not a wall, but a threshold. To stand at it, if such a thing were possible, would not be to face a void, but to glimpse another dimension of reality, another layer of existence. Another page in the book of being. In poetry and art, edges symbolize transformation. Dawn is the edge between night and day. Silence is the edge between sound and its absence. Falling in love is the edge between self and other. So, too, with the universe. To speak of its edge is to speak of possibility. The cosmos may be infinite, but our language still circles around borders. We say beyond, outside, before. We imagine doors and windows, thresholds and gateways. Even when physics tells us there may be no edge, imagination insists on one. Why? Because edges are how we think. They are the scaffolding of thought, the shape of stories. Every tale has a beginning and an end. Every map has borders. The universe resists these categories, but our minds crave them. If anything, the edge, whether real or illusory, teaches humility. It reminds us of what we cannot know. It reminds us that the universe is not built to fit human expectations. The cosmos does not owe us clarity, and yet, in our not knowing, there is beauty. To live with unanswered questions is to live as a seeker. The edge humbles us, but it also dignifies us. We are the creatures who wonder. The edge of the universe may never reveal itself, but our willingness to ask the question is already an act of transcendence. Perhaps the most profound truth is that the edge of the universe is not only out there, it is also within us. Every time we encounter the limits of our knowledge, we touch that edge. Every time we push against fear, uncertainty, or longing, we are expanding our inner universe. The boundaries of the cosmos may remain hidden, but the boundaries of the self are always close. To explore one is to explore the other. The map of stars and the map of the soul are drawn in parallel lines. So what does the edge mean? It means fear, the fear of endings. It means wonder, the invitation to step further. It means humility, the recognition of our smallness. And it means reflection, the mirror of our own limits. The edge of the universe may be unreachable. It may not even exist, but as a symbol, it guides us. It whispers that existence is bigger than comprehension. It reminds us that every horizon hides another, and that our journey is not to conquer infinity, but to be transformed by it. To ask what lies beyond the edge of the universe is to ask what lies beyond me. The answer, perhaps, is the same: mystery, wonder, and the eternal call to keep going. The question lingers: what lies beyond the edge of the universe? We have chased it through the lens of science, across the fields of philosophy, and into the depths of imagination. And yet, like a horizon that retreats as we move toward it, the answer always slips further away. This is not a failure of knowledge. It is the very essence of mystery. Humanity has always lived in the space between certainty and wonder. We know enough to ask the right questions, but not enough to silence them. This is where mystery resides, not in the absence of knowledge, but in the infinite space that stretches. Beyond it, to look at the night sky is to confront this directly. Every star is an answer, but every answer raises 10 more questions. How did it form? How long will it shine? What worlds orbit it? Who, if anyone, is watching from the other side? Mystery is not the enemy of science. It is its fuel. Without the unknown, curiosity withers. Without curiosity, discovery halts. So perhaps the edge of the universe is not meant to be reached, but meant to be wondered about forever. What makes the mystery so compelling is that the universe reflects us back to ourselves. When we stare into the abyss of space, we are also staring into the abyss of our own minds, the galaxies, the dark matter, the unfathomable distances. All of it becomes a kind of cosmic metaphor for human longing. We search for meaning in the stars because we are searching for meaning within. When we ask what lies beyond, we are really asking what lies beyond me, beyond my fears, beyond my limits, beyond my life. The edge of the universe becomes the canvas on which we paint our most intimate questions. Infinity cuts two ways. For some, it is a source of comfort. If the universe has no edge, then existence stretches on forever, and we are part of something without end. Our brief lives are threads woven into an eternal tapestry. For others, infinity is terrifying. Light. No walls, no boundaries, no final chapter. It's endless expansion into nothingness without direction or purpose. It feels less like a home and more like a wilderness, a place where we can lose ourselves. This tension between comfort and terror is ancient. Philosophers and mystics have wrestled with it for millennia. To some, the infinite was divine. To others, it was chaos. To us today, it remains both, a riddle that refuses to settle. But maybe we are asking the wrong question. Maybe the value of the universe is not in what lies beyond, but in the horizons themselves. The sailor does not need to reach the edge of the ocean for the voyage to matter. The climber does not need to see beyond the peak for the ascent to have meaning. The lover does not need to know the end of love for the experience to transform them. The edge of the universe is not a destination. It is a horizon, and horizons are not meant to be conquered. They are meant to draw us forward, to call us into the unknown, to remind us that the story is not finished. Picture this. The camera floats above Earth, rising higher and higher. The blue oceans curve into a sphere. The continents fade into cloud and shadow, and the planet shrinks into a pale dot. Further still, the solar system becomes a fragile necklace of light. The Milky Way spreads out in radiant spirals, its stars blazing like a frozen firework. Beyond it, galaxy after galaxy appears, an ocean of islands glittering in infinite black. And then, the camera keeps pulling back. The galaxies blur into filaments, cosmic webs stretching across space like veins of light in a boundless body. Finally, even these filaments dissolve into darkness. And there, at the edge of vision, lies silence. Not an answer, not a wall, just the endless invitation to wonder. This is what we pass on to future generations. It's not answers carved in stone, but questions that still burn. Each new discovery is a torch, and we hand it forward. Some flames grow into bonfires of certainty. Others remain small, flickering at the edge of mystery. The edge of the universe is one of those flickering flames. We may never quench it, but we will never stop carrying it either. lights the path of science, art, religion, philosophy, every human attempt to make sense of existence. We are not the species that knows everything. We are the species that keeps asking. That is our legacy. That is our strength. So when you hear the phrase, the edge of the universe, don't picture a wall of stone or a curtain of darkness. Picture a mirror. Picture a horizon. Picture the eternal hunger to know more. The mystery is not out there alone. It lives inside us. Every heartbeat is a reminder of boundaries. Every dream is a reminder of infinity. Every human story is a negotiation between the edge we cannot cross and the imagination that tries anyway. The cosmos does not just exist around us. It exists through us. To wonder is to participate in it. Two questions, to belong to it. And so, as our journey ends, the question remains, what lies beyond the edge of the universe? Perhaps another universe, perhaps endless void, perhaps a realm beyond space and time, where even the word beyond loses meaning, or perhaps, and this may be the most profound answer of all, the question itself is the destination. The search is the reward. The mystery is the meaning. So, when you next look up at the night sky, let that question live in you. Do not rush to solve it. Let it breathe. Let it remind you that you are part of something vast, ancient, and alive. With the possibility, the universe may not give us edges, but it gives us horizons. And that is enough, because the greatest truth is not what lies beyond the edge. The greatest truth is that we are here, able to ask, able to wonder, able to dream, and in that wonder, we are infinite. When we speak of the universe, we imagine stars, galaxies, and vast fields of space dust, all the luminous matter we can see. But here's the staggering truth. Everything visible, from the tiniest atom to the brightest quasar, makes up less than 5% of the cosmos. The rest, the overwhelming majority, is invisible, is dark. It does not glow. It does not shine. It does not play by the rules of ordinary matter. Yet, it shapes galaxies, bends light, and accelerates the expansion of the universe itself. It is dark matter and dark energy, the twin enigmas that may guard the true edge of the universe. Astronomers first suspected something was wrong in the 1930s. Galaxies were spinning too fast. By the laws of physics, they should have torn themselves apart long ago, flinging stars into the void. Yet, they held together. Something unseen was holding them in place. A hidden skeleton of gravity binding the galaxies. A ghostly presence was given a name. Dark matter. We cannot see it directly. We cannot touch it, smell it, or hold it. It passes through us, through the earth, through entire planets, like a phantom. Yet, it outweighs all visible matter by a factor of 5. Dark matter acts as the cosmic scaffolding, the invisible web upon which galaxies are strung. Without it, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no planets. So, when we ask, what lies at the edge of the universe? One answer might be a frontier of unseen mass, a boundary held by an invisible architecture, stretching beyond our imagination. But dark matter is only half the riddle. The other half is even stranger. Dark energy. In the late 1990s, astronomers studying distant supernova discovered something shocking. The universe was not slowing down, as gravity should dictate. It was speeding up. The expansion was accelerating, as though pushed by a hidden hand. That hidden hand was given a name: dark energy. Unlike dark matter, which pulls, dark energy pushes. It is a repulsive force woven into the very fabric of space. It makes up nearly 70% of the universe. And yet, we have no idea what it is. Imagine a force that grows stronger as the universe expands. Kind of cosmic tide that refuses to let things rest. If dark matter is the skeleton of the cosmos, dark energy is its heartbeat, unseen, unstoppable, and eternal. Now, imagine standing at the hypothetical edge of the universe. Beyond the galaxies, beyond the cosmic microwave background, beyond the last photons of light? Would you find a boundary of matter and energy we cannot see? A wall made not of stone or light, but of mystery itself. The edge could be less a place and more a transition, the line where visible existence fades into pure dark matter and dark energy, into forms of reality that do not reveal themselves to human senses. It would be like walking toward the horizon and realizing the ground beneath your feet is no longer solid, but a shifting ocean you cannot map. This is where science bends into philosophy. Dark matter and dark energy make up 95% of the universe, and yet we barely understand them. The cosmos is like a book where nearly every page is written in invisible ink. We can trace their effects, but not their essence. We see their shadows, but not their faces. What if the edge of the universe is the edge of our comprehension? A line drawn not in space, but in knowledge. Beyond it lies not nothingness, but a realm forever hidden, a cosmos that does not wish to be known. This possibility fills us with two emotions: terror at the thought that reality may always remain opaque, awe at the idea that the mystery itself is the gift, a reminder that existence is larger than us. And then there is the void, beyond dark matter and dark energy. Could there be something else? Stranger still. Some scientists propose new forces, undiscovered particles, or entire dimensions curled up beyond our perception. Others wonder if dark energy could someday rip the universe apart, tearing galaxies, atoms, even space-time itself, into nothingness, a fate called the Big Rip. What if the edge of the universe is not a wall, but an unraveling? What if the further we travel, the more reality itself comes undone, until matter and energy dissolve into a void beyond definition? Picture this: the camera drifts through the Milky Way, past stars and nebulae, past the glowing clusters of galaxies. Slowly, the light begins to fade. The stars thin out. Darkness presses in, but the darkness is alive. Gravitational currents swirl unseen. Galaxies bend and distort as though tugged by invisible strings. Beyond them, space itself stretches, pulling, faster, faster, driven by a force no eye can see. And then, silence. A cosmic frontier, not of light, but of shadow. Not of answers, but of questions. This is the dark unknown. Energy without form, matter without light, void without end. Perhaps the edge of the universe is not where things stop, but where our vision stops. Beyond that lies a reality we may never touch, but always feel pressing in on us, whispering through gravity, woven into the stars. Long before telescopes and particle accelerators, humans gazed at the night sky and wondered the same question we ask today: what lies beyond? With no equations to measure, no satellites to map, ancient cultures turned to imagination. In their imagination, the cosmos had edges, and those edges were alive with meaning. For the ancient Greeks, the world was an island floating on a vast ocean. Beyond the known seas lay Oceanus, a river so immense it circled the earth itself. In Mesopotamia, too, creation myths told of primeval waters, the goddess Tiamat, whose body was split to form the heavens and the seas. In these visions, the edge of the universe was not empty space, but water, the endless unknown, rolling with waves too vast for mortals to cross. Is this so different from today? Scientists speak of the cosmic sea of dark energy, an invisible medium that surrounds everything. The metaphors shift, but the feeling remains, a vastness we cannot sail. In Norse mythology, the great serpent Jarmagander encircled the world, coiled beneath the ocean. Its body was the boundary, a living edge. If it moved, the seas would rise and the world would tremble. In Hindu cosmology, The world was supported on the backs of elephants, which stood on a giant turtle, floating in an infinite sea. The turtle itself was sometimes entwined with a serpent, symbolizing infinity and cycles without end. Why serpents, dragons, and monsters? Because the unknown was never neutral. The edge was a place of danger, a frontier not meant for mortals. Just as today we speak of black holes with awe and fear, ancients filled their edges with beings that demanded respect. Many cultures imagined the cosmos stacked in layers. The Babylonians spoke of 7 heavens, the Aztecs of 13, the Norse envisioned Yggdrasil, the world tree, connecting 9 realms. Edges then were not only horizontal, but vertical. Above us, shining heavens where gods and ancestors lived. Below us, shadowed underworlds where death and mystery reigned. The edge was thus not always distance. Sometimes it was direction. To move far enough up or down was to cross into another domain. Modern science, in its own way, still thinks in layers. The atmosphere stacked above us, the Earth's core beneath, the cosmic web above, the quantum foam below. Different language, same impulse, to map the invisible. For ancient cultures, the edge was not just physical, it was moral, even spiritual. To venture too far was hubris. The Greeks told of Icarus, flying too high toward the heavens, punished for daring to cross limits. The Babylonians described a dome of heaven, guarded by gods, so humans would know their place. Edges were warnings. Boundaries, not only of geography, but of humility. In modern cosmology, the edge also humbles us. The expanding universe reminds us we are small. Cosmic microwave background tells us we live inside a story billions of years long. The edge is still there, reminding us to measure ourselves against something greater. When we compare myths with science, something fascinating emerges. The language changes, but the yearning is the same. Myths spoke of oceans. Science speaks of expanding space. Myths spoke of dragons and serpents. Science speaks of singularities and dark matter. Myths spoke of heavens layered above. Science maps multiverses, extra dimensions, and parallel realities. Each is a way of saying, the world is larger than what we see. In myth, the unknown was explained through story. In science, it is explained through data. But both are languages humans use to face the same fear, that beyond what we know lies something endless. The turning point came when philosophy began to merge with observation. The Greek philosopher Anaximander speculated that Earth floated freely in space, unsupported by turtles or serpents. Later, Aristarchus of Samos suggested the sun, not Earth, was the center. These were radical steps, stripping away the myths but keeping the questions alive. Philosophy asked, what if the universe has no edge at all? Science began to test that idea, first with geometry, then with telescopes, and now with satellites, peering into deep time. The myths faded, but the wonder did not. Instead, myth seeded philosophy, and philosophy seeded science, and the same fire of curiosity burned through them all. Picture a firelit cave 30,000 years ago. Humans draw spirals, stars, and animals on the stone walls. They imagine the sky as a dome, the edge filled with gods, monsters, or endless seas. Now, picture a modern observatory. A scientist looks through a telescope, charting galaxies at the edge of the observable universe. The settings are worlds apart, yet the impulse is the same: to ask what lies beyond, to push against the boundary, even when that boundary shifts in the end. Whether through myth or mathematics, we are storytellers. We map the edges of the universe, not just with equations, but with imagination. And perhaps the deepest truth is this: the universe has always been larger than our answers, but never larger than our questions. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, looking over an endless ocean. The water stretches so far that your eyes can no longer distinguish where the sea ends and the horizon begins. That feeling of awe, mixed with fear and wonder, is the closest we come to grasping infinity. And yet, compared to the cosmos, even, the vastest ocean is small, bounded, finite. The human mind sits uneasily between these two poles, the yearning for infinity, the comfort of limits. The question of the universe's edge is not merely scientific, it is profoundly philosophical. For thousands of years, thinkers have wrestled with the possibility of infinity, trying to decide whether the cosmos is endless or finite, whether it has boundaries, and what those boundaries might mean. The Greeks were among the first to truly confront the notion of infinity. Aristotle, cautious and logical, distrusted the infinite. He argued that infinity was not a thing that could exist in the world, but rather a process, something you approach but never reach. For him, the cosmos was finite, a great sphere of stars rotating around a central earth. Beyond the stars, nothing. No space, no time, not even void, just non-existence. But others, like the philosopher Anaximander, spoke of the apeiron, the boundless. He believed that the universe was infinite, eternal, and undefined. Kai, to imagine something with no edges, no end, was both terrifying and liberating. The apeiron gave birth to all things, yet remained ungraspable, forever beyond human comprehension. This tension between the finite and the infinite echoes through history. Even today, scientists argue whether the universe loops back on itself, whether it's finite but unbounded like the surface of a sphere, or whether it stretches endlessly in all directions. The paradox is not solved, it only evolves. For medieval thinkers, infinity was inseparable from God. The universe itself might be finite, but beyond it lay the infinite presence of the divine. Christian, Islamic, and Jewish philosophers debated not only the size of the cosmos, but its meaning. Was the edge of the universe the beginning of heaven? Did infinity belong only to God, forever out of reach of mortal minds? In Islamic philosophy, scholars like Al-Ghazali questioned whether infinity could exist in the material world at all. An actual infinity of stars or planets seemed impossible. In contrast, thinkers like Ibn Sina Avicenna proposed a layered cosmos, finite in its structure, but resting within the infinite power of God. Infinity here became a mirror. To contemplate it was to confront one's own smallness. The medieval mind did not treat infinity as a cold number, but as a spiritual concept, something to humble the soul and remind humanity that beyond our edges lies mystery, always mystery. With the Renaissance came a radical shift. Giordano Bruno dared to suggest that the stars were not lights fixed to a heavenly dome, but suns in an infinite universe. If space was infinite, then so were worlds, countless planets, countless possibilities. This vision was exhilarating, but also dangerous. For suggesting such boundlessness, Bruno was condemned and executed. Infinity, it seemed, was not just a philosophical question. It was a threat to the order of things. And yet, the idea spread. Slowly, humanity began to embrace the possibility that the cosmos was larger than anyone could measure. The telescope expanded our horizons, and suddenly infinity seemed less like an abstract notion and more like a reality waiting to be glimpsed. Today, infinity is no longer just a theological puzzle or an astronomical guess. It has become a question about human consciousness itself. Can the human mind even grasp infinity? We count, we measure, we divide space and time into units, but infinity defies this. To imagine it is to confront something that slips away as soon as you try to hold it. Philosophers like Immanuel Kant wrestled with this directly. He argued that the human mind is trapped within its own categories of thought. We can imagine infinity, but we cannot truly know it. Infinity lies at the edge of reason, a horizon that recedes as we approach it. Existentialists, meanwhile, turned infinity into a mirror of human anxiety. Jean-Paul Sartre spoke of the nothingness that surrounds being. If the universe is infinite, then our lives may seem unbearably small. But if it is finite, then we face another kind of terror. What lies beyond its edge? Both possibilities confront us with the unknown. Modern cosmology, too, cannot escape philosophy. If the universe is infinite, then every possibility exists somewhere, even another version of you, living another life. If it is finite, then we are enclosed in a vast but bounded whole, and beyond its walls may lie nothing or something stranger still. Infinity also haunts physics, in quantum theory and general relativity. Infinities often appear in the mathematics, singularities, where equations break down. Scientists call these mathematical infinities, but they are also hints that reality may be stranger than our theories can describe. Are these infinities real, or just signs of our ignorance? The line between philosophy and science blurs here. Why does the idea of infinity disturb us so deeply? Perhaps because the human mind craves boundaries. Children draw lines, circles, borders, ways to make sense of chaos. To live without edges is to float in the unknown. To imagine an infinite universe is to imagine being forever adrift, with no anchor, no horizon. And yet, the edge also terrifies. If the universe is finite, then there must be something beyond it. But what? The question itself rattles the brain, as if staring into a void too bright to face directly. This is the paradox at the heart of our species. We long for infinity, but we also long for closure, for an edge that contains the story of existence. Neither answer satisfies us fully. Both leave us standing at a precipice, gazing out into something that feels both endless and incomplete. And so, philosophy teaches us that the edge of the universe may not be a place at all. It may be a limit of thought, a horizon of imagination. Just as the horizon on Earth is not truly an edge, but a curve of perspective, so too might the cosmic horizon be not a boundary, but a mirror reflecting the limits of human understanding. Infinity, then, is not just a scientific or philosophical question. It is a poetic one. To contemplate it, it is to confront the depths of the human spirit. The edge of the universe is also the edge of the self, the place where knowledge ends and wonder begins. Perhaps the real question is not whether the universe is infinite or finite, but how we, as finite beings, live in its shadow. Infinity humbles us, but it also enlarges us. To look into the endless night sky is to remember that we are part of something vast, mysterious, and ungraspable. And maybe that is the answer philosophy has been reaching for all along. The edge of the universe is not a wall to be found, but a mystery to be embraced. It is the place where science meets wonder, where numbers dissolve into awe, and where humanity learns not to conquer infinity, but to live with it. The deeper we peer into the universe, the more it resists closure. Every discovery opens not a door, but a corridor lined with more doors. We set out in search of an edge, a final border, but instead we find new horizons expanding faster than we can chase them. This is the paradox of modern science. The closer we get to understanding the boundaries of reality, the more those boundaries dissolve into infinite possibilities. At the frontiers of cosmology, theories multiply. Some suggest our universe is not the whole of reality, but merely one bubble in a frothing sea of universes. Others turn to mathematics, where infinities appear like ghosts inside equations, hinting at deeper structures of existence. Here, on the edges of knowledge, science itself becomes almost indistinguishable from philosophy. Imagine our universe as a bubble. It expands, stretches, cools, and grows, but it is not alone. Some cosmologists propose that our bubble floats, among countless others, in an eternal cosmic foam. Each bubble could be a universe with its own laws of physics, its own constants, even its own dimensions. This idea emerges naturally from inflation theory, the notion that, in the earliest fraction of a second, space itself ballooned outward at breathtaking speed. If inflation happened once, why not many times? Perhaps it is happening still, spawning universes endlessly in a grand cosmic production line. The multiverse, then, is not science fiction, but a serious possibility. And yet, it is deeply unsettling. For if there are infinite universes, then every possibility exists somewhere. Another Earth, another you, another history where the stars burned in different patterns. Infinity becomes not just an abstract number, but a landscape filled with countless realities. The multiverse has many faces. Quantum theory offers another version, the many worlds interpretation. Every time a quantum particle makes a choice, left or right, up or down, reality splits. One universe branches into two, then four, then countless. In this vision, the cosmos is not a single unfolding story, but a vast library of every possible story. It's all happening at once. This interpretation is both exhilarating and terrifying. It means that nothing is ever lost, that every possibility is real, but also that we inhabit only one thin thread of an endless tapestry. Our lives are unique, yet also multiplied endlessly in universes we will never touch. At the edge of this theory lies a profound philosophical question. What does it mean to be you if infinite versions of you exist? Is identity tied to this universe, this body, this life, or does it dissolve across the multiverse like ripples merging in an infinite sea? But what if the universe itself is not made of matter at all, but of mathematics? The physicist Max Tegmark has proposed exactly this. According to his mathematical universe hypothesis, reality is not built from atoms or energy, but from mathematical structures. In other words, the universe is an equation, and we are part of its solution. If this is true, then the edges of the universe are not physical walls, but mathematical boundaries. Beyond what we can observe lies not nothingness, but equations too vast or abstract for us to comprehend. The cosmos becomes less like a machine and more like a grand proof, elegant, eternal, existing independently of whether anyone perceives it. The unsettling implication is this: if every consistent mathematical structure corresponds to a universe, then the multiverse is not just vast but infinite. Every possible set of rules, every possible arrangement of laws, every conceivable reality exists as a mathematical truth. Our universe is just one theorem in an eternal library. Even in the most elegant mathematics, cracks appear. In general relativity, the equations that describe gravity predict singularities, points where density becomes infinite, and the fabric of space-time tears. Black holes are one example, hiding singularities behind their event horizons. Another is the Big Bang itself, where all of space and time seem to originate from a single point of infinite density. But infinities in physics often mean that our theories have reached their limits. A singularity is not necessarily a thing in the universe, but a sign that our mathematics has broken down. It is the scientific version of hitting the edge of a map, where the paper ends and only blank space remains. These mathematical edges remind us that reality is not yet fully charted. They are the points where science trembles, where equations collapse into mystery. And perhaps within those gaps lies the clue to a deeper truth, a theory that unites quantum mechanics and relativity, the small and the vast, into one seamless picture. Even if the universe is infinite, we can only see a finite portion of it. The observable universe. Light has traveled for 13.8 billion years since the Big Bang. But because space itself expands, The edge of what we can see lies about 46 billion light years away in every direction. Beyond that horizon, we know nothing. More galaxies may exist, perhaps infinite, but they are forever hidden. To us, this horizon acts as a boundary, not of reality, but of perception. The edge of the observable universe is a mirror showing, not the end of existence, but the limit of human vision. This, too, is a kind of edge, not physical, but epistemological. It is where knowledge fades into darkness, where even our most powerful telescopes stare into silence. In the end, scientific frontiers are not about closure, but about expansion. Every answer reveals deeper questions. The multiverse, quantum branching, mathematical universes, all are attempts to grapple with the same haunting mystery. What lies beyond the horizon? Perhaps the universe has no edge. Perhaps it has many, each a doorway into another world. Or perhaps edges are illusions, the shadows of our limited minds, trying to map a reality far larger than imagination allows to air. Science touches the same mystery that once inspired myth and philosophy, the idea that beyond the known lies something unfathomable. Dragons, gods, voids, equations, each age gives its own name to the darkness. What does not change is the feeling, awe, fear, and wonder, key braided together as we stand at the threshold of knowledge. We realize that the universe is not a closed room, but an endless corridor. Each frontier opens onto another. The edge is never where we expect it to be. Perhaps the true edge of the universe is not out there, in distant galaxies or hidden dimensions, but within us, in the limits of perception, the limits of reason, the limits of imagination. We are finite beings dreaming of infinity, and in that dream we touch the frontier of all things, the scientific edge. Then is not a final wall, but a horizon, one that recedes as we approach, calling us always forward. And perhaps that is the most beautiful truth of all, that the universe has no last page, no final line, only a story that keeps unfolding endlessly, forever. From the moment humans first looked up at the night sky, we have been drawn toward the idea of edges. We sought the end of the ocean, the border of the desert, the highest peak of the mountain, and the farthest star in the heavens. The notion that there is a final line, a place where the known dissolves into the unknown, has always ignited both wonder and fear. Edges are magnets for human imagination. But why? Why do we need the idea of boundaries at all? Why do we search for horizons when the horizon only retreats as we approach it? The answer lies not only in science, but in the very fabric of human psychology, myth, and meaning. Edges give us shape. To know where something ends is to know where it begins. Without boundaries, life feels like a formless fog. Maps need borders. Stories need endings. Even consciousness itself seems to depend on contrast, the eye set against the world. The ancient map makers drew lines not just to mark the land, but to anchor the human mind. Here be dragons, they wrote at the margins of their charts, as if naming the unknown gave it meaning. In the same way, our search for the edge of the universe is an attempt to give shape to the infinite. To believe that there is a border, even if we never reach it, is to feel grounded within the vastness. Infinity unsettles us. To imagine a universe without end is to imagine a road without destination, a sea without shore. The human mind evolved in finite landscapes, valleys, rivers, mountains, skies. Everything we touched and knew had edges. To step into a reality with none is to step into a kind of vertigo. Perhaps this is why myths so often pictured cosmic edges, the ocean at the rim of the earth, the dome of the heavens, the gates of the underworld. The edge reassured us that there was structure, that chaos had limits, that the world could be grasped. Even today, science offers edges that feel like anchors. The observable universe, the event horizon of a black hole, the moment of the Big Bang. These are not true endings, but they serve the same purpose. They let us hold infinity at arm's length. Yet edges are not only about fear. They are also about promise. For every edge whispers, beyond me lies more. The ocean's edge promise new lands. The sky's edge promise new worlds. The cosmic edge promises new realities, yet unseen. This tension, fear, and promise is what drives exploration. We move toward the boundary because it both frightens and fascinates us. It tells us that we are small, but also that we are capable of crossing into the unknown. In this way, the search for the universe's edge is not just about physics. It is about identity. It is about who we are as explorers, storytellers, beings who cannot rest within what is known. Philosophers, too, have always needed edges. Plato imagined the visible world as shadows on the wall of a cave, with truth lying beyond. Kant described the limits of human reason, edges beyond which we cannot see. Heidegger spoke of being toward death, the ultimate edge of existence. That shapes all meaning. Each of these is a different kind of horizon, a different boundary. The edge is not always physical. Sometimes it is cognitive, emotional, existential. But the longing remains the same, to approach the border, to lean out into what lies beyond in our age. Science has become the new mythology of edges, where myths gave us oceans, dragons, and domes. Science gives us dark energy, singularities, and multiverses. Spoppy. The symbols have changed, but the underlying impulse has not. Still crave stories about what lies at the border. The Big Bang is a kind of creation myth. The black hole's event horizon is a modern underworld gate. The multiverse is a cosmic pantheon, each universe a different godlike possibility. Science provides more precise tools, but the emotional need it answers is ancient. We want to know what happens at the edge. But there is another truth. The edges we seek are not only out there, they are also within. Every human being lives with edges, the limits of knowledge, the boundaries of life, the inevitability of death. To search for the cosmic edge is also to search for meaning in our own finitude. When we gaze at the night sky and wonder where it ends, we are also asking, where do we end? What lies beyond the horizon of this life? Will consciousness dissolve into nothing or cross into another mystery? The universe becomes a mirror, reflecting our own mortality, and perhaps that is why the search is so powerful. To go. The edge of the cosmos and the edge of the self are entwined. To push one is to confront the other. What, then, do we find? Science tells us that the universe may have no edge at all, that space curves back on itself, or stretches infinitely, or multiplies into endless bubbles. Each possibility denies us the final closure we seek. But perhaps this is the answer. There is no last page, no final border. The universe is not a box to be measured, but a corridor that stretches forever, with horizons that recede as we walk toward them. We do not need the edge to exist in order to keep seeking it. The search itself is the meaning. The poet Rilke once wrote, "The purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things." The universe, with its vanishing edges, is the greatest thing of all. To be defeated by it, to chase horizons we never reach, is not failure, but fulfillment. So we return to where we began, the human standing at the edge of time, gazing into the cosmic ocean. We asked whether the universe has an edge, a boundary, a final border. We found possibilities instead of conclusions, horizons instead of walls, and yet this is enough. For what drives us is not the arrival, but the journey. The need for edges is the need for mystery, for challenge, for expansion. Without them, life would be flat, empty, unshaped. Hey, with them, life is a story, a journey toward the horizon, knowing we will never arrive, but walking forward anyway. The edge of the universe, then, is not a line we will one day cross. It is a compass. It points us forward. It tells us who we are. We are the species that dreams of edges. And in that dream, we find our place among the stars. When we began this journey, we asked a simple, impossible question. Does the universe have an edge? We followed that question through physics and philosophy, through myths and mathematics, through darkness and light. We wandered past galaxies, slipped across horizons, and peered into the unknown corridors of infinity. Each time we thought we might touch a boundary, it dissolved into something larger, stranger, more mysterious than before. So, where does that leave us? Perhaps with the realization, the edge we seek may not be out there at all. It may live in here, in the human imagination. The cosmos does not offer us clean lines or final walls. Space curves, folds, stretches, and slips into dimensions we cannot see. Energy shifts between forms we barely understand. Horizons retreat as fast as we approach them. The more we search for an ending, the more the universe offers only beginnings. And, yet, this is not a defeat. It is an invitation. The edge may not be a physical border, but a mirror reflecting our own hunger for limits, for shape, for meaning. We chase horizons because they remind us that knowledge is never complete, that wonder is never exhausted. The very absence of an edge keeps the human story alive. Think of it this way. The universe is not a room with walls, but a poem without end. Each line opens into another. Each discovery leads not to closure, but to deeper questions. A Rome is not to finish the poem, but to keep reading it aloud, together, under the stars. And so, as we close this journey, we return to the silence of the night sky. Above you, the galaxies are still drifting. The light is still traveling. The questions are still unfolding. The edge, if it exists, remains hidden, but maybe that is the point. The edge of the universe is not a place to be found. It is a horizon within us, the restless spark that drives us to wonder, to imagine, to reach beyond what we know. It is the space where science meets myth, where truth meets dream, where the human spirit meets the infinite. And in that meeting, in that unending edge, we find not an answer, but awe.